I made the mistake of letting my license expire. And you know what happens?
Your driver's license?
Yes. And you know what happens when your license expires? Then you got to go back and do everything all over again.
Yes.
And you're arrested. Are you going to have to take the road test?
Well, that's why I've got my...
I'm not sure I could pass it.
I've got my 2004 driver's guide here.
Rules of the road.
He really does.
Nobody uses this stuff. This is what frustrates me about this book. Nobody uses 90% of the... Look how thick this book is, all right?
But anyway, are you going to have to take the written test or the road test or both?
I know I have to take the written, and I think I have to take the road because of the state we live in.
But aren't you going to feel funny being like, a 50-year-old man taking the road test?
I feel like an idiot. I had to do it. I had to do it one time when we moved to this state from Alabama.
Yeah.
The rule was you had to take...
I let mine expire.
Yeah, you had to take the transferring from state to state. You had to take the road again.
I took mine in a car that I had just bought less than 24 hours before.
Oh, no.
And the trooper, a female, not that it really matters.
She was a real trooper.
And she said to me, turn on your flashers. And I'm like, okay.
I'm looking at you.
I hit the button and the trunk goes up. Okay, she says, blink left. So well, no idea.
Let's see how many of you licensed drivers
Blink right.
actually know the things we're all supposed to know from the book. Do you know the slowpoke rule? Anybody know the slowpoke rule?
No. I believe I'm responsible for that rule.
No?
No.
None of you know the slowpoke rule?
No. Never heard of that.
See, I told you.
No.
Slowpoke rule, it is against the law for you to drive slower than the posted minimum speed.
You're kidding.
Yes.
Wow.
I never knew that.
See there? You learned something. But you guys are licensed. You're supposed to know every word.
Yeah, but nobody ever got stopped for that.
That's right.
Is there anybody, 1-800-9-WAKE-UP, that ever got stopped for driving too slow? Nobody ever gets stopped for driving too slow. That's like going broke because you got too much money in the bank. It just doesn't happen.
I got stopped for the next one, though. Wait, Miss Katie, you got stopped for that?
I didn't. My husband did. He was driving too slow in the fast lane, and he did get pulled over.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
That's the story of my life, driving too slow in the fast lane.
Too slow in the fast
But,
lane.
it's rare that you see those signs. I know you see them sometimes. It says minimum speed, maximum.
Yeah.
You don't see that a lot.
No.
But you could be ticketed and pulled over and ticketed for that if you violate it. I don't know of anybody who's ever been ticketed for going too slow except your husband.
Yeah.
Well, I got ticketed for this next one. Do you know the center lane rule?
No.
You people are lost.
Suicide lane?
Is that what?
I'm sorry.
Which one's the suicide line?
What is a suicide lane?
That's the one kind of in the middle that you can use to turn, right and left. You
Yeah.
Stop in the middle. We call it a suicide lane.
Why do they call it the suicide
the
lane?
turn
I
lane.
don't know. That's what we
Have
are.
a bunch of people.
Oh, no, I think they call it the suicide lane because sometimes you'll have two cars that face head on in that one lane, one turning right, one turning
yeah.
left.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this. There is a very, very strict rule when it comes to the center lane. I was pulled over for this. When you get into the center lane, do you know what you're immediately supposed to do?
Blink.
Nope.
What?
The Chinese fire drill.
Blink very fast. You are supposed to stop your vehicle immediately. You cannot roll in the center lane.
And I do, because what I will
We
do,
all do.
what I will do as the light is about to change color, as it is about to turn red and slow me down, I will pull out into the center lane and go ahead and make that turn real fast to beat the light. You guys ever done that?
I'm sure.
Oh, of course you have. Let's go to Drew from State College, Pennsylvania, listening to Revolution 101.
Hey, Drew.
Morning, Drew.
Drew, how about them Nittany Lions? Yeah. How about them?
Yeah.
How about them Nittany Lions?
I'm not a big fan.
Oh,
dear.
Well, they ought to remove you from the town. All right, Drew, what happened to you now?
You guys were talking about driving too slow.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't actually been pulled over for it, but I was with my grandfather when he was
For driving too slow.
for driving too slow.
How slow was he going?
I think it was 55 and he was doing 45.
You're kidding.
Really?
Now, did they give him a warning or a ticket?
Well, the officer looked at his driver's license and said, "Sir, you're old enough. You should know better."
Really?
That's a tight, though, 55 and 45. You'd think they'd
Well.
give maybe a little more grace than that.
There's probably quota day.
Yeah, but
And, Drew, I've heard them say that their reason for this is they say it's just as unsafe to drive slow
That's a lie.
as it is to drive very fast.
That's a lie.
Why is it a lie?
Well,
You hit a brick wall doing 20 as opposed to doing 80, and tell me it's just as dangerous.
All right, intern Josh, we've got your next experiment. Woo!
Pencil that in, Jimmy. What is it, Drew? Go ahead, please.
we were on a highway, like a divided highway.
I got you. Let's see if you guys you failed all the rules so far. Let's see if you know any of these other. Do you know the point system? Do you know anything about the point system?
How you get points against your license for tickets and it makes your insurance go up?
Yeah,
I know how that works.
But, do you know literally how it works? I mean, the actual system in terms of if you get a speeding ticket, how many points are on your license? A ticket, you get 2 points.
Okay.
How many points before they take it away?
Well, the person with the most points wins.
I wish it was that way. Do you know how many points it is? It doesn't say in the book.
If you get X number of points, they take your license.
Don't they take it?
I heard 8. I might be wrong.
Oh, really? You might be right. 2 for tickets, 4 for DUI.
Yeah, well.
4 for DUI, and then it says there's another point assessed if you don't have, and this is something a lot of people do if you don't have your license with you when pulled over. I mean, sometimes, you run out of the house.
Forget, yeah.
All the time, but I was always told they can check your license plates and make sure you're okay, even if you don't have your license, so they can check you out to give you the info.
Really?
Is that true?
It doesn't say that. It just
You
says
get a ticket for not having your license?
1 point can be assessed if you don't have your license with you if you're pulled over.
Huh?
Wow.
I run that risk a lot.
I know it's that way with insurance. If you don't have your proof of insurance with you, you have a certain amount of time period that you can mail your insurance card in and prove that you have it.
I tell you, I violate a lot of these just because I get so much pleasure out of going to traffic court. That's one of the most fun things in the world to do. I love to just go down 2 or 3 times a month and just hang out at traffic court. Just love it.
Love it.
Look, if there's anyone listening who works for DMV, if you could help me with knowing what do they really, I don't want to read this entire book. I mean, this is a thick book. What do they really...
It's a pamphlet.
There are pictures in it. Cartoon drawings.
132 pages.
Oh, my
Whoa.
gosh. How are you going to survive?
That's a lot to study. What do they really test you on, though? That's what I'm wondering. On the written...
And it's multiple choice. It is.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Yeah. Pick C, you'll be fine.
You know about the wet pavement rule? Any of you know the wet pavement rule?
Stay off of it.
Slow down on it.
Okay, you don't know. Because now, Steve, you used to drive a Fiero.
Yeah, but I don't... Please, we're on the air, and I don't like to brag.
The Fiero, you remember that thing? Anytime it would rain, it would hydroplane like...
Well, I pay that extra for that option.
You do not believe it. No matter what the speed limit sign says, nobody does this. You're supposed to go 35 when it is raining or the pavement is wet.
35? That's exactly right.
Who does that?
I do.
Well, I know you do, but nobody else does that.
I was given a ticket. A lot of times they say, officers will give you a grace period. I was going like 60 and a 55, and it was raining, and on the ticket they wrote driving too fast for conditions.
Every time I've been stopped, I get a grace period. That's the time between him walking to the car and walking back to his car, and you're like, dear God, our Heavenly Father, please grant me grace.
I promise I'll never speed again.
That's the grace period.
I'll be at church on Sunday.
Meadville, Pennsylvania.
That's where it is, in fact.
Ed is on the phone.
Hey,
What
Ed.
up,
Hey,
Ed?
Ed.
Morning, folks.
Hey, Ed, how are you, buddy?
Doing fine.
Good.
I just calling in because I also had been stopped for going too slow.
How slow were you going?
I was doing 55, as a matter of fact.
What's wrong with that?
Well, apparently in California, when the traffic's moving a little faster, you're supposed to keep up with them no matter what the speed limit.
Let the traffic determine the speed limit.
You're kidding.
I kind of like that policy.
I do, but I've never heard of that being a law.
I must have liked it too, because that's what I was doing.
Did they give you a ticket?
Oh yeah, they gave me a big ticket, and
Yeah.
I told them they'd never have to worry about catching me doing it again.
Yeah.
So they say in California, if the traffic is going a lot faster than the speed limit, it's okay to keep up
Don't
with it.
impede the flow of traffic, I guess.
Apparently.
Well, on the freeways in California, they do haul butt. I mean, they fly.
Well, then why have a speed limit? I
They
mean, just
fly.
get rid of it.
Well,
I'm all for it.
it's not a speed limit. It's more of a suggestion. Thanks, Ed. All right, let's go to Terry in Sulphur Springs, Texas, on the Stephen D.C. Show.
Terry!
What
Good
up,
morning,
Terry? Hi, Terry. Hey.
Hey,
Hey.
All right, this is your turn, Terry.
Go ahead.
It's your turn now.
Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I was driving through Sulphur Springs with my wife and I the other day, and the speed limit's 40.
Uh-huh.
And there was an old man and an old woman that had to be 80 years old, and he's driving 15, holding up traffic like they was going through a school zone. my wife said that after you get about 70, they ought to take your driver's license away from them or either have a I need to have them retake the test.
I agree with that.
Does anybody listening have the uncontrollable desire to scream, "Get her done"?
Hey, thanks, Terry.
Yeah.
Might be a law. I don't know. Let's go to Lloyd in Columbia, Mississippi, listening to SL 100.
Hey, Lloyd, good morning. Welcome.
Hey, yeah, you got to think about it. If you said it's going slower, it's safer, or whatever. If you think about it, it's not, because if everybody else is going 55 and you're going 45, you're a hazard to everybody else.
You better believe you are. That's right.
Kidding.
And my partner, Steve, drives like my grandmother. No, I can't say that, because my grandmother is a speed demon.
She flies. Well, she didn't used to be, ever since she bought the Viper.
It cracks me up. My grandmother is nearly 90 years old, and she really is still completely with it when it comes to driving. And we'll be out with her somewhere, especially if she's just in the car and you're driving, and she's like, "What are you going so slow for, Granny? I'm doing 80. Put the pedal down." It's going to be 3 weeks before we get... She likes to do 90.
Well, she didn't have long.
In a 35.
If you get there fast.
You know the fog rule?
No.
You people, see? The fog rule is if there is a fog, you are to immediately drive with your flashers on.
Oh, wow.
You didn't know that, did
No
you?
one does that.
You didn't know that? See there? You all...
I don't even know where mine are.
Yeah. You all should have to take the written test over again, all of you.
You were asking about what questions are on the test. Now, when I moved to this state, I failed my written test the first time. I thought, okay, I'm going to memorize all those questions and get them right the second. They have like 4 different tests that they rotate between.
So there's no telling what test you're going to get,
Exactly.
DC. And you know you're going to have to parallel park if you have to take the road test.
Oh, dear.
You're going to have to parallel park. When's the last time you parallel parked?
Oh, dear. Well, I actually had to just recently. I had the parallel park, yeah. But I hate it. And what about that rule? I always get confused on this. If you're parking on a hill, have you heard that rule about
Yes.
turning into the
Wheel.
curb?
Well, yeah. So I mean that makes sense. If the car rolls, you want it to roll into the curb, not into the street.
Right.
What about these countries with no speed limit? They say they have a much, much lower accident rate in like where the Autobahn is, where they just hit the highway and boom, off they go. Why can't we do that here? What's the
Well,
big
when they lowered the speed limit here to save to conserve gas, remember that? When it went to 55 for a while in a lot of places, and it had been 75 and 65, then it went to 65. It was a conservation measure for a lot of places, and they showed that the rate of accidents declined when they lowered the speed limit in America, anyway.
Steve, when you approach a railroad crossing without flashing warning signals, what should you do?
Stop, look, and listen.
And you should, yes, roll down the window.
Get out, stand on the hood of the car, and look most
Steve is right. Always stop. It says always stop.
Look and listen, baby. That's what you do.
Listen, you know what? I hate people who, and I know this isn't, you're what you hate about the drivers, but I hate people who drive down the highway with their blinkers on. People that will turn their blinkers but not be turning, and you're behind, and so you're waiting for them to turn. I hate that. And the other thing I hate is, and this happened to me yesterday. I was driving home from the radio station yesterday, and granted I was in the passing lane, and granted I was doing like 55. I was doing the speed limit. I was doing the speed limit, but I was in the passing lane, and this moron is just, I hate tailgaters too. It's on my butt. I mean, just right on my butt. If I had tapped the brakes, he would have just eaten me alive.
I hate that.
He's on my butt. I'm doing the speed limit, even though I know I was in the passing lane, so I was probably wrong. And he's on my butt, and I look in the rearview mirror, and he's giving me the stink eye, like, get out of my way. And so I get over in the right lane. He passes me, and when he gets up beside me to pass me, he looks over like, idiot. And then he just keeps going. Funniest thing happened, and it always does.
Oh.
About 2 miles down the road, guess where I found him?
Hold up.
Hold over.
Yes.
No, that would have been great. Found him stopped at a red light.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't get there any faster than I did.
Yeah, I love
right.
that.
Not any faster than I did.
Listen, are you willing, as I'm reading this driving book, there's a whole section on this, are you willing, Steve, to give your organ to someone?
Well, it is Friday, and I get... frisky on Friday. Yes, in fact, I check yes on my driver's license. I do check. I have donated. I am a donor.
You are?
Yes.
Now, I have not checked yes on my driver's license, but my family knows that I wish to donate. And I'll tell you why I haven't checked yes on my driver's license, because I've read of cases like if you go to a hospital, for example, I'm a 20-something-year-old male.
You are?
I go to the hospital, okay, and I am in grave danger. I'm nearing death. And there's a 20-something-year-old male on the 5th floor who needs my heart. I've read cases where the ER doctors will not work as hard to save the person in the ER if your driver's license is checked.
That's not true.
Really?
Absolutely true.
No, that's a rumor. That's a myth.
No, that makes me
Happened.
rethink.
They let you die because they need your organs.
They will. They won't work as hard.
Oh.
They always ask the family anyway, so just don't check your driver's license. Just tell your family.
This changes everything.
I encourage people to check yes and be a
But
donor.
Steve, did you just hear that? They don't work as hard on you.
No, if you want to die, Steve, that's fine. I'll take your organ.
Down in Dallas Cowboy country.
That's the nicest thing anybody said to me all day.
Down in Dallas Cowboy country in Paris, Texas, listening to K-Bus. Let's say good morning to Kirk.
Hey, Kirk.
Hey, you know, it seems like when the speed limit was 55, people drove 70.
Right.
Now that it's 70, they drive 55. Bugs me to death. Bunch of morons. You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. You're right. Yeah.
Flipping morons.
People are funny that way. I wish I had my own highway. Thanks, Kurt. Thanks, Kurt. All right, let's see. Columbus, Mississippi. ZBQ is on the phone. Nikki.
Hey, Nikki. Good morning.
Nikki.
Hey guys, I was just calling in about getting pulled over for weird things. About 2 months ago, I got pulled over for making a wide turn.
A wide turn.
Right, and I was like, I didn't know you could get pulled over for that, but nobody was on the road, and I just didn't want to hit the side of the curb, and so I just pulled out a little bit, and he stopped me, so.
I'll be honest, I didn't know that was a law, that you could get pulled over for a wide turn. I didn't know this was a law either. I've got a friend who was pulled over for hitting the white line. Her tire was touching the white lines, and the cop pulled her over and said that is illegal. You have to stay in between them, and if you are repeatedly hitting the white lines, you can be pulled over and ticketed.
It's called veering over the center line, and if you veer over the center line, they think you're drunk or messed up or something.
Well, no, but this was not that. This was the white line on the left. This was not the passing line, because that's yellow. This was the white line on the edge. On the edge of the other side of the road, where when you're driving, it was just her tire
Like she was running off the road almost?
No, it was occasionally occasionally on the white line. And he said if you touch that white line repeatedly, you can be ticketed for that. I didn't know that.
Let's go to Angie, listening to SL100 in Mississippi. I didn't know you could be ticketed for this.
Hey, Angie.
Morning, man.
Good morning, Stephen D.C. How y'all doing?
Doing good. Happy weekend to you.
You too. Look, probably back in 1989, 1990, me and my husband and some friends got together, and we was going to go to this club. And there was like 8 or 10 of us piled up in one vehicle with a Ford Taurus, and we got pulled over for having too many in the car.
You're kidding.
I am serious. We were piled up on each other's laps. I don't even see how the guy could even drive.
Well, that's probably why you got stopped.
and the guy driving got out of the car, and the cops talked to him and stuff now and asked him if he'd been drinking. He said, no, sir. He said, but everybody else in the car have been. He said, and the police told him, said, well, I can take all your friends in for public drunk and all this stuff, but we were real cool. We were being hazed, but
that was we were being hazed. I like that. We were being hazed.
It was a Ford Taurus, right?
And that's why we got pulled over for having too many in the car. And
how many in the Ford Taurus?
I want to say there was 10. I know there was 8.
They're built of gosh.
I know there was 8 of us for sure, but there might have been 10. There was one couple that.
A couple more in the trunk, I think.
But it was so much fun, and the police, told the guys that we all behave, and we didn't get a ticket or nothing, but we went on about our business but we got home safe that night.
Well, that's what counts. You did, but I'm still just trying to picture that 10 people in it. I can't think of 10 of my friends that fit in a Ford Taurus.
But that
is crazy.
Never mind.
I might have to side with the cop on this.
I don't know. Andy, thanks.
10 in a Taurus.
We used to do that in high school, though. There was a drive-in, and the drive-in movie, remember the drive-ins? Probably not.
Yeah.
The drive-in movies would have carload night, and you pay one price.
Right.
And as many people as you could cram in the car would get into the drive-in. And we would just load it up.
And remember, people would try, though, at the drive-ins, when they weren't having that night, they would try to sneak people in the trunk.
That's right.
And that was very dangerous.
Many movies from the trunk of the car.
Steve, I don't think you would fit in a Ford Taurus, much less 10 of your friends.
Hey, now.
You know what you need to do, Sean?
fine.
You need to get back to church. Right now.
All right. I know, Jim, we're over time. We're over time, Jim says.
Right. Okay, what do we want to do here?